Hi there, welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning subscribers, thanks so much for your continuous love and support. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video. I think everybody at some point in our lives come across people who are begging on the streets, claiming to be homeless, or perhaps truly are homeless. People that are in need, asking for money to help make ends meet. When you see this anywhere in the world, people usually are dressed raggedly. Perhaps they look homeless, perhaps they look like they're starving, whatever it may be in our mind. And the reality is, a lot of people need this money and they're truly begging to survive. But when I was on YouTube, I came across a video that flabbergasted me. I was shocked in disbelief. This was the top 20 begging scams across the globe. I was so surprised at this.
Over the years, the dynamics of wealth and power have shifted significantly, leading to what sociologists would call the haves and have-nots. However, unfortunately, millions of people have it so bad that they're literally homeless and forced to spend their days on the streets begging for money. To be fair, most of them that you see on the street are actually honest people who do have needs, but sadly, the institution of begging has also made it easy for people who don't have needs to pretend like they do. Some of these fake beggars even go to extreme lengths to fool people into giving them money, and in this video, we'll have a look at a few of these charlatans who have been exposed, as well as how extensive their efforts were. Join us as we have a look at 20 fake beggars who took it too far.
I'm going to share a few with you, and then we're going to break it down, and we're going to talk about this act of begging, the pros, the cons, and how we can decipher through the reality and the scams. One of the scams was when a family, a husband, a wife, and a child, drove to their location of choice in a Mercedes. Yes, a Mercedes. The woman, before getting out of the car, put on something that was under her clothes to show that she was pregnant. They went out and stood out asking for change. And when they got back into the car, a couple hours later, they were laughing and giggling about the amount of money they had made. In a Mercedes, obviously their begging scam was working wonders.
Number 20. Pregnant beggar in a Mercedes-Benz. What's more pitiable than a pregnant woman who's struggling? This must have been the thought of this lady, who was caught back in 2014. At the time, a San Diego woman named Melissa Smith would share pictures with news reporters of a woman that she claimed was a panhandler who was scamming people and essentially stealing from them. According to Melissa, the unnamed pregnant woman would stand at a junction in the city every day with her child begging for money. Some weekends, her husband would also join them, with the entire squad asking people for handouts. However, while getting gas at a gas station close to the pregnant woman's usual spot, Melissa noticed something strange.
He sits there with the sign, he goes parks the Mercedes, and they put up the sign, and not less than 5 minutes, here she is getting money from all these people. Lo and behold, they were in front of us. And here they are, counting money, laughing. Their little boy's not in a car seat or a seatbelt. He's all the way in the front seats with them.
To make things worse, Melissa even cast doubt on whether the supposed beggar was even pregnant.
She picks up this big boulder about this big, goes over her head. So I don't know if pregnant people can do that, but it was pretty big over her head and coming at me with this rock.
Police eventually ran the woman's number plates, but didn't find anyone at her home when they checked. Whatever it may be, I'm pretty sure that she won't be panhandling anytime soon.
There are also many different scams where people claim to be disabled. Now this one infuriates me because it gives people with disabilities a bad name. People faking a disability that they have no legs, they can't move, that they're in a wheelchair, and in fact can't speak. This was mind-blowing to me that somebody would actually fake this to get money when there are actually people with disabilities that don't beg.
The creepy crawly beggar. Now, I don't condone fake beggars at all, but it's even worse when you try to defraud people and have the worst strategy. Take a look at this guy, for example. This video would go viral in 2018, showing a man who was begging for money on the streets of China. The man had essentially chosen an act. He would behave as though his legs were all gone, and he'd be able to get the right amount of sympathy. Sadly for him, his act was quickly unraveled when a group of ladies decided to set a trap. I mean, if you look at his reaction when he found out that they had caught his lying act, here's some free advice, sir. At least try to make your act more believable next time. The Kentucky Bogus Beggar. Back in 2016, the story of Gary Thompson became pretty popular after he would be busted for being a fake beggar. Thompson, who had become known across Kentucky as the Bogus Beggar, didn't just decide to fake a physical disability, he also faked a neurological one. Riding around in his wheelchair, the bogus beggar would work to gain sympathies by inventing one story or another while deliberately slurring his speech.
Please help, but spare my...
Thompson had actually gone to school and gotten a degree in speech pathology, and when he couldn't get a job, he then decided to put his degree to use in a different way. He got a wheelchair and took on the persona of a mentally ill person, gaining sympathy from all the people around him. And for a long time it did work. According to reports, Thompson confirmed that his panhandling would allow him to earn 6 figures comfortably, all of which, as you know, came tax-free. His act eventually got busted after a news crew had filmed him on one of his escapades.
To be on camera, I break it. I will break it.
You can't. I thought you couldn't get out of your...
I can't walk.
He eventually was found guilty of several fraudulent claims and made to serve 14 months in prison, so at least he wouldn't be homeless anymore.
Another one that I saw was something very powerful, actually a little bit smart when you think about it. A lady was begging on Rodeo Drive, one of the most richest streets. She would go and she would ask for money. And she was making up to 50 donations an hour. Can you imagine? That's mind-blowing, the amount of money she must have made, because again, people shopping on Rodeo Drive definitely have money.
The Fifth Avenue Scammer. If you're going to have a scam begging operation, one major piece of advice you should follow is to always go where the money is. That's exactly what this lady did, choosing to target people on the popular Fifth Avenue in New York City. With stores like Gucci and Tiffany's, it's no wonder Fifth Avenue has been dubbed the Avenue of Avenues. It attracts the filthy rich, and as you would expect, people whose generosity knows no bounds. This lady perfectly combined the perfect victims with the perfect disability, all to make for an awesome scam operation, and wow, did she make some bank.
One after another, we saw them dropping cash into her cup. On busy days, she averaged an amazing 50 donations an hour.
According to reports, she could get up to 50 donations an hour on busy days. I mean, if she worked for 10 hours and each donation was just a single dollar, that would mean a daily income of $500 a day. A news crew then decided to follow the lady, conducting days of observations, and they were shocked to find that she was absolutely fine. What a miracle indeed! The camera crew followed her on several nights as she would finish work, get a change of clothing, and then go about her day as if nothing had happened.
Another one that was demonstrated in this video was how somebody faked an illness, even going to the extent of putting a catheter, a fake catheter on them to prove that they had this illness.
Bogus kidney disease. If you're going to be a fake beggar, the least that you can do is make sure that you've got the right props. It's why I have to give credit to this person, a man from Kenya who became popular in 2013 after faking a kidney disease just to get sympathy from passers-by. This man faked his disease for many years and even went as far as manufacturing a fake catheter to sell his condition. The guy would literally glue the catheter to his stomach and wear a shirt over top of it so that nobody would be any wiser. And according to some reports, he would make about 300 Kenyan shillings every single day. That's about $2, and you'd really have to go through all that stress for a measly $2? The man claimed that his wife had died of AIDS and had left him with the children, and with no other income, he decided to turn to fake begging to make ends meet. But why didn't he just get a job or turn to family members for help is really anyone's guess. You do have to give him some credit though, at least he was dedicated enough to get the fake catheter.
I was shocked to find out there was many scams that were syndicates, not just one person begging, but a group of people begging across the globe. What I couldn't believe was how orchestrated this was. They would actually fly people into fly people into Australia from China on visitor visas. They would have them go dressed in regular clothes, put on rags on top, and beg for money. They would walk away for $400 a day. I was shocked and appalled. Then it takes some real orchestration to definitely have this all done. It was like shift work. It was like going to work for a full day.
The Australian Begging Syndicate. If you thought that individual beggars were the only ones doing damage, then you're in for quite the shock. Back in 2019, police officers and reporters in Australia would be tipped off about a massive begging syndicate that had taken over the city of Melbourne. The stuff was crazy. Apparently, the handlers of the organization would fly people in from China and then employ them as beggars. According to police, many of these fake beggars were actually in Australia on tourist visas. They would work as beggars, make up to $400 per day, and then send most of that money back to their home country.
This is certainly the first of its kind where we've collaborated with other agencies to tackle professional beggars.
Police claim they've busted a begging syndicate in the heart of Melbourne. The ruse is unlike anything we've seen in Australia.
Besides the visas, police also found that many of the beggars seemed to be like normal people, with regular clothing under the rags that they had worn to work.
Wearing garments that appeared to be worn garments, but actually underneath that clothing was they were wearing normal and clean, good quality garments.
The entire thing would definitely make one more skeptical about beggars in Australia. Who knows if they really were what they claimed to be?
Of course, there was the beggar that claimed to be a veteran returning. And we know that many veterans come back. And although they should be treated as heroes, many of them are on the streets. So when somebody fakes being a veteran, it's heartbreaking because, again, it tarnishes the uniform as well as the people that have served their countries.
The fake army vet. If there's one thing that easily tugs at the heartstrings of every American, it is the military. Everyone loves a good military story, men and women who risk their lives to ensure the safety of regular citizens. And when a military vet comes back from active duty, they're usually treated like the heroes they are. And as you can imagine, several people have also tried to benefit from this feeling with their bogus begging campaigns. A few years ago, Garrett Goodwin, an actual Army vet, would spot a panhandler at an intersection in Tampa. He saw that this fake beggar was wearing a military uniform, and if there's one thing that a real military man hates, it's a fake military man, especially one who's disrespecting the uniform and the country.
Uniform, the sign that said Army Veteran Homeless Needs Help. I realized pretty quickly that this...
I think it's safe to say that this encounter did not go as the poser had planned at all. Goodman got out of his car and literally hounded the fake military vet.
Show me your veteran's ID card. I don't have one, sir. Well, take off my uniform.
The reactions to this were different. Some believe that Goodman had bullied the guy and that he had gone too far, but Goodman didn't care.
Military uniform, and he's bullying their heartstrings and bullying their sympathy.
When it's all over, it's the real military vet that everyone should be supporting.
My favorite story out of all of these scams, though, was the one that a man found 2 young kids begging outside of his store. So he thought he had empowered them and offered them a job to make the money instead of begging. I thought this was really smart, but they turned him down. So he got crafty. After offering them a job twice, he thought he played their game. He created a sign, and it said that I offered them a job, they said no, so don't give them money. They were squashed just like that.
Beggars refusing help. When you see a beggar, the conventional reaction would be to help them by giving them money. However, for Mike Potoff, giving money was just not good enough. The guy actually wanted to help the beggars that he found, but they literally rejected him. So here's how the story goes. Mike is a businessman in Iowa who owns a convenience store. Back in 2015, he noticed 2 boys around the store who seemed to have been begging for money. Instead of just giving them some cash, though, he literally went to the boys and hired them to come and work for him. But to his utter shock, they said no. Apparently, they would rather loiter around his store and beg for money rather than to get an honest job and make an income. A few days later, the boys would come back, Mike offered them a job, and they rejected him again. Instead of just sending them away, though, Mike decided to literally serve them with a taste of their own medicine. He took up a sign and stood beside the boys with his sign reading, offered these guys a job, they said no, don't give them money.
Same two teenage boys holding a sign reading "Broken Hungry, please help" on a street corner by his...
You know what? I think Mike deserves to be named Businessman of the Year for this one.
As this video goes on, it shows the reactions of the beggars, how they're angry at people that call them out. They're shocked they're caught on camera, and of course they know the gig is up.
No, you're all right.
What are you doing?
Just wondering why you have a 2014 when you're begging for change all over the city of Richmond. You're
Why
on.
don't you leave me alone?
You're
before I call the cops?
you're viral. You're on Facebook.
I'm calling the cops on you right
Good.
now. You better get me off your cell phone.
Everyone, be warned. How much you make today?
People are making money on top of money. One man actually lived in a mansion and drove a very nice car. This to me was mind-boggling.
Homeless man with a big house. To be honest, it's one thing for you to be so openly dishonest that you actually become a fake beggar. However, it's an entire different ballgame when you're playing like this guy. This California-based panhandler had grown quite popular in the community that he was begging out of, and according to reports, his modus operandi was simple. He would show up every morning, beg for food and money, and then leave in the evening. No one really knew where he went or what he did with all of that money that he got, but I'm guessing that they simply assumed that he had skulked into a hole or something similar. However, two curious guys would decide to follow him one day when his shift was over, and you wouldn't believe what they saw. Apparently, the guy had parked his car only a few streets away, so he simply got into his pretty plush-looking ride and drove all the way to his sprawling mansion. They decided to knock on the door, and let's say that things escalated pretty quickly.
Okay, how can I help you?
Is this your, I'm just curious, is this your house?
You
so
didn't.
it was you then. I saw you get into what looked like sort of a nice car and then come here.
The guy even became combative after being confronted with his actions.
So it seems like you're a little jealous of me, bro. Is that what it is?
No.
You come into my house and you questioned me about what I did all day today. I've asked you nicely to get off my porch.
I'm getting
okay,
off.
now get seriously,
All right,
dude.
that's fine, dude.
And it turns out the guy was a jerk. It turns out that some people really are the worst.
It shows across the globe in different countries these scams that are happening. We know many beggars do things to entertain, whether it's playing an instrument, doing some dance routines, or even acrobatics. Anything to engage people to make them want to donate money. This can be understood if somebody was actually in need, but to go to these extremes when they are perfectly capable of working a regular job, going out and earning money legitimately, they're taking advantage of people, pulling on their heartstrings to want to do good and give. Have you ever come across beggars? Do you give them money when they ask for it? Do you actually know if their stories or begging scams are real or fake? As I explored these, I thought of my own personal experiences with beggars. I've come up with many of them. Obviously, many people asking for food. When you offer them food, they prefer the cash. Well, if you're hungry, food is food. Also, in Canada, there was a story of a woman who would collect change, and somebody followed her home. She lived in a brand new condo. The money she had made from begging. It's incredible to see what's out there. As I scroll through YouTube streets, I see many different forms of begging here on the platform. People asking for legitimate help for the causes that they are endeavoring in, but also people putting it out there with stories such as, my bank card isn't working, I'm traveling, I need help. Help us do this, help us do that. But they do it in such a way that you don't even understand that they're begging. They're asking for help in a very effective way. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't give to beggars. That's not the intention of this video. It is for us to be wise, to do our research, to find out if there's actually a need for begging, or is it a scam? Because everybody wants to do good and help others. People want to make a difference in this world. And if by helping somebody, by contributing some money, some resources, will help them survive and thrive, that's a wonderful thing. However, we have to be cautious that we're not taken advantage of by the beggars. So when you hear somebody ask for help, take a few minutes, do a little research, and make sure they're coming back to show you the proof of how your contribution helps. If it's an activity, a resource, money, when they say they're going to do something, are they showing you the receipts? Are they showing you what has been accomplished? If you see somebody in dire need, absolutely help them, please. But be mindful, be aware. And again, I wanted to share this because it's important for us all, as we all work hard, and we all, at some point in our life will need help, to understand there's a time and place for asking for help. Begging as a scam is definitely not one of them. Until next time, be careful, be aware, and as you peruse the streets of YouTube, when you're watching a video and ask for help, find out, is it legitimate before you start to send your money. Do me a favor, take a second, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and please like and share. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.